This is John Spoliar. Today's date is March 5th. It is 8:55 a.m. This is a morning hearing session of the Board of Assessment Appeals in Room 2.
Well, yeah, they concentrated,
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, is this Alex?
This is he.
Hi, this is John Follier. I am one of the members of the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Hi, John. How are you?
Okay, how are you doing?
I was just calling. I think it's Catherine. I had on the other line to find out if I had something wrong or something. So
Nope. I'm here. Okay, I'll be hearing your appeal today. And
okay, you tell me when you want me to start, or do you want me to give you?
Well, I just need to confirm some details at the onset here for the record. Your appeal number is 180.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The property that we are appealing today is located at 935 Harbor Road.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The owner is JCU LLC.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The town has your property appraised at $5,133,900.
Yes, they do.
And the ask amount is $4,496,400.
Yes.
Okay. I just need to confirm that you are the owner or an agent of the appeal.
I am. And JCU LLC is a sole proprietorship owned by my wife, Judy, who's sitting right here with me, and she signed the document when she sent in the request for the appeal, designating me the contact.
Okay, great. So you have the ability to do that. And let me just double check one other thing here. Okay, so what I need to do is swear you in. So do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Okay, so what I guess this is, it's open to you, so if you want to start, that would be great.
Thank you. So my wife Judy is with me, and this is where we live. It's our primary residence. It's an LLC because we bought it 10 years ago, and that's how we structured it for financial purposes. But it's our primary residence. Basically, the concern we have is that we haven't done anything to the house since 2015. In fact, we had a project to renovate the house back in 2012, which finished in 2013, and nothing has been done since. And the improvements, so the appraisal is made up of the two pieces, land and improvements. The improvements went up by 27%. And that seemed, we didn't understand that. And so we looked at, our most immediate neighbors who are the most comparable, which is 911 and 883, and their improvements went down on an average of 9%, again, on an appraised basis. And so we started with a lower appraisal than those two residents, 911, 883, and ended up with a higher appraisal. And it's not in the land. The land moved in lockstep. Everybody's land moved in lockstep. But it's all in the improvements. And again, ours went up 27%. Theirs went down 9%. And our house is smaller. It's not only smaller, but it's going in the visitor, but it's not finished to the same degree. So we were just surprised at that. We didn't understand it. And that's the purpose for our appeal.
Okay. All right. So just to make sure I captured it right, you haven't done any improvements since 2005. Your improvement went up 27%.
Yeah, no, we haven't done any improvements since the last appraisal of 2015.
2015. That's correct. You said 2012 was when you did the last.
Yeah, it started in 2012 and finished in 2013 is when we did a renovation. The other two homes have also recently been renovated or entirely knocked down and rebuilt. We weren't able to, the town wouldn't let us do that, so we had to renovate on the existing home.
Okay, and that's 911 and 883?
It's 911.
Yep.
83.
Okay.
So if you know, John, are you from town? I mean, you know Southport Harbor?
I know a bit of it, yep.
Yeah, so there are three homes that kind of are in between Ye Yacht Yard and going down towards the public park that are on the water. And we're one of the three, the other two are the others.
Okay.
So that's why I use them as the most comparable. And again, the And, everything's been moving kind of in lockstep, as you'd expect. The lots are virtually the same size, same location, the same everything. It's the improvements that raise concern.
Yep. Okay. I'm just looking to see if there's... And just to make sure, it looks like that you have a generator as well. I just want to make sure the outbuildings are right here. There's a generator, and it looks like there's a dock as well. Is that correct?
We do, and the other two homes have generators and docks also.
Okay. All right, good to know.
And we have a small outbuilding that I use as a gym. That's not living space, but I use it as a gym. But the other homes also have small outbuildings.
Okay.
So they're very comparable. Our home is smaller square footage-wise than the other homes. And again, that was reflected in the 2015 appraisal, where the improvements in ours were appraised at less than those. But now they're significantly higher.
Okay.
And if you got, I don't know if you got, but I assume you have in front of you my application for appeal, and the second page is a little handwritten comparison that comes straight off the property cards on file with the town.
That's correct, I do. So you've got...
you can see all that.
Yeah, 911 went down 2%, and 883 went down 16%, sorry.
Right. That was
Correct.
my average of 9, and ours went up 27%.
Okay. And just for my knowledge, did 911 and 883, did either of those sell recently?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't want to use, but you'll have on the property cards the neighbors' names, but that wouldn't be appropriate for me to call them by name. I just call them by number.
Yep, that's fine.
But no, they've actually both been there. They moved there and we moved there.
Okay. Okay. Let me just double check and see if I have any other questions with regard to this. Double check. I'm looking at your card, your field card right now.
Yep.
And did you talk to the folks did you have an informal hearing?
I did. I talked to, I hope I understand that question right. That was on your petition, or my petition, but I talked to the Vision, VGS?
Yep.
On the 15th of January.
Okay.
And told them of this and expected, that would take care of it. So I was a little surprised when it wasn't.
Okay, and I'm assuming that they didn't make a change then? Is that correct?
No, there was no change made. Right?
Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else anything else you want me to know about so that when I present to the board I can share with them?
I don't think so. The last note I had on my petition was that, it ends up with ours being on average 23% appraised, 23% higher than our two most immediate comparable neighbors.
Yeah.
But that's all. That's written down there. Let me ask you, hey, Judy, do you have anything you want to add? She said no, she doesn't think so.
Okay. All right, so just to let you know what the next steps will be is I'll be presenting this to the majority of the board at a deliberation session for consideration and vote. You will be notified by mail on the board's decision 7 days after the decision is made. We are trying to make all decisions in March. We have 650 appeals to hear and deliberate about this time around. If the board denies your appeal, you'll have the right to come back next year and appeal. If we make a decision to change if we made a change to your value, you won't be able to appeal again to the board for another 5 years. Okay, so basically till the next revaluation. Either way,
So now I have the right to go to court, though, right?
absolutely, and that's what I was just about ready to get to here. If you don't agree with the board's decision, you can appeal in court, and that information will be included with your decision letter.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Okay, and your name is John Foley?
Spoliar. S-P-O-L-Y-A-R.
Say one more time.
Yeah, it's S as in Sam, P as in Paul, O-L-Y-A-R.
Thank you. I just want to put that in my notes.
Yep, that's fine. All right, well, if there's nothing else, thank you for your time, and, we'll deliberate and you'll hear back from the board.
Good, thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Good morning. This is John Spoliar. Is this Daniel?
It is. Thank you.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. So again, my name is John Spoliar. I am with the Board of Appeals for the town of Fairfield, and I'll be hearing your case today.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So I'm assuming you have the paperwork that I submitted.
Yes, I do, and that you are, that Lisa Zelson has appointed you to act as on your legal matters here in this case.
Yep.
Yep.
And you have the backup of all the write-ups and the attachments and everything. What was that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I know our time is limited, but I think, and I can certainly run through this. I'd love to run through it quickly with you, but I think it centers around
actually
very simple.
Can I stop you for a quick second? I just need to confirm a few things first before we can get into it, and then I also need to swear you in.
Okay.
Okay, should take a minute or so. So the appeal number we're talking about is 263. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the property address that we are petitioning or appealing is at 297 Harbor Road.
Correct.
Okay, the owner of this property is Lisa Zelson.
Correct.
Okay, the town has valued the property appraised at $6,015,000.
Yep.
And you are requesting that the town reduce your appraised value to $4,918,775, correct?
575.
Yep. Okay, great. And then, can I just have you state your name as the agent for this?
Daniel Zelson.
Okay, excellent. I just need to swear you in real quick here. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Okay, so we can get into it now.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, I think that the kind of 30,000 foot view here is there are a
number of inconsistencies about how this property was valued compared to the other properties on the street and in the comp set around it. And it goes across the board. So I guess I would start with replacement cost. There's still a significant replacement cost error in this property. When it was last valued, it was valued significantly lower than this. And if I look at the properties, and I've attached a sheet, an exhibit that talks about what I believe is the comp set. I'm very familiar with the properties in the neighborhood. I'm also in the real estate business. And for a long time. And, our property, for whatever reason, was valued significantly more than the properties that were similarly built.
And is that replacement cost, or is that just the assessment value?
It's replacement cost, and then it flows into the assessment value.
Okay.
So the two examples I would point to, 920 Harbor Road, which was a newer house than ours. I've been in it, built significantly better than ours. Has a replacement cost from the town at $328 a foot. $326 a foot. And 340 Willow, which was built by a friend of mine, bought by a friend of mine recently, and it has a replacement cost of $399 a foot. Again, both properties significantly built better than our property. And then there's the exhibit points to other houses in the neighborhood that are similar, and those have an average replacement cost of about $328 a foot, which is significantly lower than even what I stated. And then there are two properties in particular just down the street from me, both built by my builder. I would point out that one of them, 241 Harbor Road, is probably overvalued as well as far as replacement costs, but even taking that into account, there's a letter in my file from my builder talking about how he estimates the cost of our house about being 10 to 15% higher than both of those. So if you take that into account, you still get a replacement cost significantly lower than what the town has put on our house. So if you use those replacement cost numbers as a measuring point, you come up with about $460 a foot. But the last thing I would point out is that 977 square feet of our house is actually finished attic space, and it's very inadequately finished attic space, but yet it hasn't been counted. And I guess technically it should be counted, but that's not $460 a foot space to replace, not even close. So when you kind of put it all together, if you look at the comp set in the area, I come up with a replacement cost of about $365 a foot. And if you look at the Tolman built houses, which is who built our house, and you make the adjustment based on his note, you come up to a replacement cost of about $400 a foot. So those are two things I would point to initially. The next one would be the building good number. My understanding is that this has to do with depreciation and the age of the house. Ours is listed at 93, which is not at all possible for a 20-year-old house. And one thing I'll point out, I did not include it in this report because the numbers would just get too absurd, is that we have a roof that needs to be replaced, which is at least several $100,000. We have windows that have all failed that need to be replaced, which are hundreds of thousands of dollars, and other maintenance that goes along with the 20-year-old house. When I look at the comp set of similarly built houses and similar age houses, you come up with a building good number that's somewhere between 83 and 85. So I know that would also change the depreciated replacement cost on our house. So that's an inconsistency. And then I go to the market comp approach, and our house is unique. There's no doubt about it. There are not a ton of comps, but there have been a few comps in the past few years, and I reference those. There's 290 Satsco Hill, there's 768 Satsco Hill, 734 Satsco Hill, 702 Satsco Hill. And rather than go through all these because I know our time is limited, if you kind of comp those out, adjust for acreage, adjust for bedrooms, adjust for garages, that kind of thing, you really come to a replacement cost, again, that's a valuation that's significantly lower than $6 million, about 5.2. I think this is probably the least perfect way of looking at the value, just because, again, our house is fairly unique. But the other thing I would point out to you is that most of these houses sat on the market for well over a year, some of them 4 years, 2 years. So this is not this is a very slow-moving market to sell something like that. I guess the next thing I would point to is land value. The adjacent house to us, 319 Harbor, just recently sold for $228. It sits on essentially the exact same size property as us, has the same view of the water, same aspect of the water. If anything, it has much more lawn area. We have no lawn area at all. And if you take out the structures on the house were fairly valueless. They were old houses. But if you take out the town's assessment of those houses, which is about $234,000, you come up to a land comp of $2,045,000, and that's also shown in Exhibit F. And that's about as good a comp as you could possibly get on our land value. Our land value on our property is significantly higher than that. So, I know with appraisals, and I've read through thousands of appraisals in our business. It's a combination of kind of all of the above, and there's no science to it, but more art to it. But walking through kind of the things I mentioned above, I come up with a replacement cost that I believe is fair, $385 a foot, a building good number of 84. And using that as a depreciated value, you come to $2,346,267 for the replacement cost. If you change the land comp to the $2,045,000 and add the above, you come up to $4,391 as the value versus the $4,009,000 that I suggested. You use the market approach, you come up to $5,002,000. And if you use the land next door and the replacement cost that the town estimated, which I still believe is wrong, but even if you use that, you come up to a number of $5,001,000. So try to, come up with some kind of mix of A, B, and C and come up with our value of $4,009,000. And again, I'll point out that this does not take into account the money that really needs to be spent in this house. And I think if the appeal went further than this, I would absolutely throw that into the mix and probably come up with a number that, as I said, would be probably in the lower $4 million range. So I know that's a mouthful, but it's all in the report. There are exhibits to back it all up, and hopefully you take the time and flip through it. And if I made any mistakes, feel free to point them out. But I think it's pretty comprehensive.
Okay, so I do have a few questions with regard to the exhibit. So in Exhibit A that you have here, you have other houses on Harbor Road. I'm assuming they're on both sides of you. That you have a Sasco and you have a Willow. Were any of these sold in the last year or so, year and a half?
I believe Willow might have been sold. Yeah, Willow probably was sold in the last year and a half or so.
Okay.
Obviously, the one next to us was as well.
The one next to you, which one is that?
Yeah, and I believe the ones on Sasco. I think I referenced those in my comps as well. So yeah, I believe some of those were sold as well.
Okay. I'm assuming. Okay, so then Exhibit B1 is the Tallman Building Company replacement cost estimate that they have. And then Exhibit E that you have, I believe these are the ones that sold the $290,000 or at least were for sale.
Yeah, these have all sold. So
okay.
These are all closed sales.
Closed sales, and within the last year and a half or so?
Within the last year, yeah.
Okay. Most recent sale, let me just double check here. 702, Sasco Hill. 734 Sasco Hill. 768 Sasko Hill, and then this is all part of Exhibit E, correct?
That's correct.
All right, I just want to make sure that I understand what we have here. Okay, so Exhibit F is 319 Harbor. You said that one was sold recently, I believe? Yes, on 12/31/2020. Yep. Okay, and then so the sale price, as you said, and also stated here, is $2.28 million. Okay. The pictures and such. That. Okay, and then I have a field card as well.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to see something here. And the house was sold. The house was purchased in 2007, correct?
Our house was, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And looks like I'm just looking here. Did you have an informal hearing with MVS?
I did.
Okay. And did they make a change?
They did. The house was even more absurdly overvalued at that point.
So it went up based on their comp?
No, it went down. But my point is that their mistake was so grossly overstated at that point that it went down. It's still not even close to being adjusted properly.
Okay. All right. Okay. So is there anything, so your main point here is actually 2 points we have here. One is the assessed land value, correct?
Correct.
Is over compared to the comps you provided. And that, is it the field card, would you say, that is having some issues?
On my property, you mean?
Yes.
Well, I think it's a couple of things. I mean, I think the field card is generally accurate as far as square footage and that kind of thing. I think it's not accurate as far as building good. It's not accurate as far as replacement cost. And obviously the land value is, I don't believe is accurate. Again, it's a tough property to comp. It's not like it's a 3-bedroom, colonial where there's lots of them. It's unusual. So sort of had to try to dig and find, at least in there. And luckily the land comp next door is about as accurate as it gets.
Okay. I do have a note here, something about 2020 MLS remodeled kitchen. Does that ring a bell at all? Did we remodel the kitchen?
We did. We painted it.
Okay.
But I think some of this may have come from a listing that we had and got no action on it with COVID. We tried to put our house out there at a big price and crossed our fingers, but no offers at all. It took it off the market.
Okay. All right. Anything else I should know about to bring to the board? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think it's all there.
All right. What I will do is I will be presenting this to the majority of the board as a deliberation session for consideration and vote. You will be notified of the board's outcome within 7 days of the decision. We're going to try to make all decisions in March. I mean, we do have 650 to go through as far as appeals go. If your appeal is denied, you have the opportunity to come back next year and appeal again. If we do grant a reduction in your appeal or with your appeal, you cannot appeal again until the next revaluation in 5 years. All right. And regardless of the outcome, if you don't agree with the board's decision, you can appeal your decision in court. And there will be instructions about how to appeal in court with your decision letter.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
I'm good. Thank you. I feel like a doctor here, you know. There you go. All right, have a seat there.
Examining room here.
Yes.
Looking through your file.
Okay, so I am John Foley. I will be hearing your case today. I am one of 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Okay.
Okay. I do need to confirm some information for the record.
I need to give you our little swearing in thing.
Yep, that too.
Okay.
Right. But we have to be sworn.
We have to be sworn in. Okay, so first let me get the information correct. The appeal number is 54, correct?
I didn't know whether.
Yep.
Okay. The property that we are talking about today or appealing is 163 Harbor Road.
Yep.
Okay, the owner is Deborah A. Judelson?
Yep.
Judelson? How do you pronounce it?
Either way.
Okay. All right. The town has appraised your house at $1,425,700, and you are asking for a reduction to $1,315,000. Correct?
Yes.
All right. I need to. And you're both the owners, or you're the owner?
I'm the owner.
I'm the husband of the owner.
Okay. All right. I just need to swear you in.
Yep.
Okay, so do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. Okay,
Do you want
so,
me to sign this?
yep, if you can sign that, that'd be great. Okay, so, tell me about the petition here and your appeal.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
Stand.
you can do it.
Oh, you do.
Yep, I gotta do the rest.
Oh, you want to
Well, you both score over.
Yep, you both swore in.
Okay, here's your swearing, and this is just a
Okay.
the property might be
Surveyors, okay.
and you refer to while talking.
And then I will hand you a packet afterwards, which
Okay.
will give you more information.
All right, great, thank you.
All right. My name is Deborah Judelson, and I'm the owner of 163 Harbor Road. I'm here to discuss my October 1, 2020 revaluation, and I will give you a packet which will give you information including the petition to the Board of Assessment Appeals, Town of Fairfield, Grand List, October 1, 2020. I'm a graduate of the Yale School of Architecture and currently licensed Connecticut real estate broker, and have held a real estate license since the early 1980s. The purpose of revaluation is to determine current fair market value of real properties. The Connecticut General Statutes, Chapter 203, Property Tax Assessment, Section 12-63, provides in part, the present true and actual value of all other property other than farmland, forest land, open space land, or maritime heritage land shall be deemed by all assessors and boards of assessment appeals to be the fair market value thereof. It should be noted here that the law doesn't say that the value is whatever the assessor's formula determines it is, as long as it is close. Formulas employed by an appraisal company are a good estimate of value, but are just an estimate and are based on subjective factors. There is no better measure of the fair market value than an arm's length sale price between an unrelated buyer and seller that is close in time to the assessment date. As can be seen by the purchase and sale, which I will submit in the packet, my purchase of 163 Harbor was an arm's length sale. I'm not related to the seller, and the property sale was recorded on October 1st, 2020. The very same day as the October 1, 2020 revaluation date. Additionally, as can be seen from the property marketing history, which is included in the packet, on January 27, 2019, the property was originally listed for sale for $1,885,000 and continued to be listed for sale and actively marketed for 617 days. As can be seen on the signed purchase and sale agreement, also in your packet, I closed on the property and paid $1,315,000 on September 30th, 2020. However, my October 1, 2020 revaluation is $1,425,700, which you can see in the reval notice of assessment charge, also in your packet. On May 21st, 2020, the asking price was dropped to $1,449,000, and the property was listed for sale at that price or a lower price for nearly 3 months before we signed the contract to purchase, and that's in the property marketing history. Certainly, if the property were worth anything close to the $1,425,700 on which our assessment is based, it would have sold to someone else at a higher price before we finally purchased at $1,315,000. According to the Vision Appraisal Field Card, which is also in the packet, the 100% valuation of the property has two components. It is comprised of a combined valuation of the structures or improvements and the valuation of the land. The house is a modest 7-room, 2,400 square foot cape originally constructed in 1958. I would politely say that when I purchased the structure, it had a lot of deferred maintenance. The Vision listing of the property more than generously reflects this less than stellar condition, with a 43% combined obsolescence depreciated value of the structure at $247,300. The property also has a dock, which is sinking into the river and is generously valued at $5,700. The house is very close to the road on a 0.29 acre thin spit of land along the Mill River, and that you can see from the map that we've given you. At the busy intersection of River Street and Harbor Road, and that also is shown there on that map.
On the surveyor's certificate.
Yeah, there's a map on that.
Okay.
The valuation of the land alone on the Vision Field Card is listed as $1,172,700. It can be difficult to quantify the impact of the property situation and or location on its value. At 163 Harbor, the land location and configuration negatively impact the property and thus its value. Although as stated above and in the property description, the land sits along the Mill River. However, the Vision Appraisal Field Card falsely lists the property as having ocean frontage when you cannot even see Long Island Sound from the property. And you can see it clearly states on that certificate map it's on the Mill River. Additionally, unlike the neighboring properties, the lot is both generally smaller and shallower, resulting in an awkward, diminished building envelope. You can see that also from that map. You can see that given the fact that any building lot has certain setbacks, that when it's a very shallow lot, those setbacks seriously impact the building envelope. And this is a small lot, too. This property is additionally, unlike the neighboring properties, it's generally smaller and shallower, resulting in an awkward and diminished building envelope. This property is adversely impacted not just by being at a busy corner and having an awkward and diminished building envelope. As can be seen by the current elevation certificate, which will also be in your packet, the property and structure sit in part in a high-velocity flood zone, the VE14, which according to FEMA means that they are subject to severe wave action. The consequence of severe wave action can be seen in the very poor condition of the stone seawall, which is falling apart, has to be replaced. Additionally, as noted in the elevation certificate, the property or land is as low as 5.5 feet along the edge of the water. This is well below the VE14 flood elevation, and the property has flooded in the past and has a high probability of flooding in the future. In conclusion, I would ask that you take into consideration the significant adverse impacts on the land and revise the valuation of the property to the fair market value on the sale date of September 30th, 2020 of $1,315,000 with something closer to the mortgage appraiser's allocations of $800,000 attributed to the land, $5,000 to the dock, and $510,000 to the house. And this is in the mortgage appraisal, which will be in your packet. I thank you. My husband's going to briefly go through the mortgage appraisal that we got for the property when we purchased it, so you can get an idea of what an appraiser felt in terms of the allocation.
Okay, hold on. I just want to check something here.
Yeah.
So you have here the standard residential sales agreement, August 11th, 2020. That's what was agreed to, right? And I do have here in the field card that you've attached that it went through on 10/1. Okay, for 35 or 1.3 million.
1,315, yeah.
Okay. And you do have a, your husband will be going through the mortgage or the appraisal that came with the house?
With the mortgage, yeah.
With the mortgage, okay.
Yeah, because the allocation, I think what's important to note here, really important to note here is that the land has been very significantly overvalued. And as a result, the total amount of the assessment is way too high. And the appraiser recognized that by giving an allocation of modest allocation or more modest allocation of $800,000. Which then ups the value of the house somewhat. And the dock, which no one really looked at carefully enough, is sinking into the water, which means it needs to be replaced because once that happens, it's finished. So, the condition of things was generally poor. The seawall is in terrible shape, which is an indication of the battering that it's received. So, anyway.
Yep, and I'm just looking here. It looks like that they gave a condition discount on the field card.
That's a condition discount only for the structure itself, which actually it's really, as I said in my talk to you, the combination the combination of the combined adolescence and depreciated value is $247,300. That's the total. And again, that the house was taking all of the hit, but even given that, the land is really the problem here. And you can see that from the map. It's not the house. It's really the land. And the appraiser recognized that, but clearly whoever did the valuation did not. And it should be noted that, again, this is a really good example of a fair market value. The property was on for 617 days. It had plenty of time to equilibrate. Lots of people took a look at it. It was during a high market time. This is as high a price as could possibly be imagined for this house. Okay. In this lot. So it's really everything about the revaluation is just wrong. It's just plain wrong.
And I do appreciate that you do have the sales history here, or
the market, the market. Yeah, it's very clear. 617 days, that's plenty of time to equilibrate. It's not worth anything near that. It was listed at that for a substantial period of time. No one purchased at that price. It's just not right. Okay. And besides, this is the definition purely of fair market value. Fair market value is an arm's length sale in the open market, and we are it. At October 1st, 2020. We are exactly it.
No adjustments necessary.
Right. I mean, this is the date, this is the time.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that Deborah said, the total value here is clear from the definition of what fair market value is. The appraisal, the ancillary things. The appraiser obviously is not allowed, you're appraising for a mortgage company, you're not allowed to take the purchase price into account because then he wouldn't need the appraiser. And so he's always scrounging around for comparable properties. He was not really able to get very comparable properties. I mean, the three that he used were one on Pequot Avenue that needed a 15% adjustment because it was not on the water, and two on Fairfield Beach Road, which is a different neighborhood, and it does have real, Long Island Sound access to use. But I don't want to quibble about the little odds and ends. He ends up coming up with a value of $1,350,000, which is obviously much closer to what we have. But again, there are some issues that I'm not going to really get into those. But the point really bringing this up is that the purchase price gives us a total of what the whole package is worth. But we feel that it's been very disproportionately allocated to the house, to land. The land has, been allocated way too much, and the building, frankly, too little. One of the mistakes that he does make in this is he states that the house is in a VE zone, AE zone. He states it's in an AE zone, when in fact, part of the lot is in a VE zone, part of the structure is in a VE zone, which is very significant. And notwithstanding that.
And it's also non-compliant. That should be pointed out.
Not compliant. But notwithstanding that he thinks it's in an AE zone, when he looks at the cost comparison, he says, this lot is worth $800,000, $700 for the lot and $100 for the site improvements. And, this is, and he values the building at more like $600,000. So the cost approach comes up with $1.4 million, which is $600 for the house and $800 for the land. And when he makes adjustments on the comparable sales, he also makes a very small adjustment for the value of the house. It's the land that he sees as being very much overvalued. And we think that's true. I mean, it's very compromised, very hard. There's a lot of requirements with a VE zone that you don't with an AE zone. You have to
it's the highest, most severe flood zone.
I don't know if it's on the field chart here or not, but did they feel that the flood zoning was incorrect on what this is?
No one commented on.
About that, the flood zoning should be changed.
I mean, the flood zone is currently listed as a VE 14. And the
the house, the property actually sits in 3 zones. A very tiny bit of it is in the zone by the street. Then the bulk of it is in the AE zone. And then there's the water.
It's really more like, a third and 2/3. A third of it is VE and 2/3 of it is AE. But the house is in VE. The structure is in VE, which makes the house in VE. That's the way it is. That's the way it works in flood zoning. Once the house is impacted, it's impacted, and the whole house has to comply with VE flood zone standards, which are very significant.
Versus VA.
Versus the A zone, which is a it's a moderate, flood zone. And the VE is subject to wave action where the AE is not. And so that makes the conditions much more severe. You have strapping, you have different elevation standards. In other words, the house has to be elevated but to a different standard. You have to have flow-throughs. It's just very different. It's much more significant. And it will impact the value of the house because somebody who's looking at it and the house is non-compliant. So you've got a non-compliant house in a high-velocity flood zone. And so anything that you do in terms of, flood zone, changes is the most significant you could get.
And so that's the main thing is that he feels the house is worth much more and the land is worth much, much less.
And so that's
I also, just to point out, there are actually 5 properties that he lists on his appraisal. 3 that are legitimate because they're sales, and 2 more that are not, were on the market but not sold yet.
Okay.
Right, but you can't count those.
You can't really count those, but of all 5 of them, every one of them but one was the town evaluated at 5 to 15% less than the people paid for them around that time.
Okay.
And the one of the ones in Fairfield Beach Road, they assessed it higher than what they sold for by 1%, and that was a house that was on the market for 18 days. And so
This house was on for,
I don't know, everybody else was, a house that they considered as comparable, the town thinks is worth much less than it, even than they
paid for it.
paid for it. And for us, it's worth 8 or 9%, whatever it is, more than we paid for it. I think the problem is,
I mean, the problem is
it's not reflected in the value of the land here, because it's more unique. It's harder, it's easier to say, oh, it costs $227 a square foot to build a house, but it's harder to say, what is this piece of land worth? They're all unique, they all have pros and cons, and they just...
I think that I made that clear here, which is the problem is in the land valuation. And the problem is that if you look in general at revaluations, there always is a problem with the land valuations because it is easier to quantify, and I said that here, but it is easier to quantify the value of a house, what is a board worth, what is, whatever. And so in the aggregate, you could get to a reasonable assertion of the value of the house. But you can't, it's much harder to say, okay, so what is a busy intersection? What is it being in the VE zone? Also, it's the mortgage person who actually put it in the AE zone. So he didn't even take into account that the land was in a VE zone, not an AE zone. So that's, I think you weren't clear about that. It's just, so that's where the mistake is made. The problem here is that here they've overvalued the land. They say, we're on Long Island Sound. We're not.
Yep.
We're on the Mill River.
Yep.
And it's hugely different. And even then, they come way higher, whereas in the case of the other sold properties, which is really the only thing that you can base an appraisal on. You can't base an appraisal on houses that are listed for sale.
Correct.
So they can always be, all over.
And those were recently sold.
These were all, and also the interesting thing is that...
The pre-sales took place in the summer to fall.
Okay. Yeah, so they were sold.
On April, one of Fairfield Beach Road, again, which was 1%, the town thought was worth 1% more, that's the oldest sale, was in April. Money. And in a rising market, you would expect.
Because of the COVID demand in Fairfield. So, I mean, it's really very clear here.
Yeah, if you can give me anything else, we need to wrap up here, unfortunately, due to time. Just to let you know what will happen next is that I will present this to the majority of the board. We'll deliberate and come to a decision. Once we make a decision, you'll be notified in writing within 7 days of that decision. If we deny your appeal, you will be able to come back the following year and reappeal. If we do make any type of adjustment, you won't be able to reappeal to the Board of Assessments for 5 years.
Really?
Which is basically the next revaluation.
If you say, okay, we agree, it's not worth $1,425,000, it's worth nearly $424,000, and that precludes us from coming back.
Correct. For 5 years. However,
we can go to court.
You absolutely. So if you disagree with the decision of the board, you will have the right to go to court. Okay, and that information will be in your letter, the decision letter of how to do that for the next steps.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, that's a shame.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just very clear though in this case that the mistake was made.
Yep. Thank you.
There's the packet.
All right.
Some of that is duplicative of what you already got.
Yep.
No,
And
but
then,
it's
if you got the evaluation or
that's in the packet.
that's in here? Okay.
It should be on the
Yes,
last.
it is. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we do have, like again, we're new to Fairfield, obviously, here.
Uh-huh.
But I'm assuming that there isn't a more perfect case here, which is that, this was purchased on the reval date.
Yeah, that will be, I'll definitely state that.
It's not persuasive evidence, but our neighbor across the street called and said, how can they do that to you? And we didn't mention it to her. She saw it and something like that.
Yeah, but it is the definition of fair market value, this house. This number. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. Have a seat there. All right. 30 Westwood Way?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'm John Spolier. I'll be hearing your appeal today.
Okay.
I am one of the 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals. I just need to make sure that I have the correct information here for the record.
Okay.
We are talking about Appeal 260.
Yes, that is it.
Okay, property address that we are petitioning today is 30 Westwood Road. Westway Road.
Correct.
The tongue twister. The owner is Lisa Porter and Theodore Porter.
Correct.
Okay. The Porter or
Porter.
Porter. Okay. Okay. The town has assessed the value at $72,900, and the ask amount is $68,200. Correct?
Correct.
All right. And you are the owner of the property?
I am.
Okay. And I just need to swear you in here. So
Sure.
you can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right.
Do I need to sign this?
Yes, I need you to sign that and date it.
Today's date is the
5th, I believe.
All right.
Okay, so, vacant land, it looks like?
It is vacant land
Okay,
that is basically part of the tidal basin that is underwater during high tide, or at least a good portion of it is. It's undevelopable. From my perspective, it actually has negative value versus any positive value because
The only thing that you could do is pay taxes and maintain it.
Okay.
So I have no idea why there would be an increase in value, because you wouldn't be able to sell this land.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can see a picture of it.
I can pull that up here.
Yep. But literally, it's a small parcel. It's probably under a quarter of an acre. And again, in high tide, 50% of it is underwater.
Oh, field card here. Okay, I can see the parcel of land here. And it is, let me see here.
So my house is on the other side of Westway Road.
Okay.
So this is a parcel that came with the house that is on the other side of Westway Road from my home.
Okay.
Again, literally I would have to pay someone to actually sell that land.
Okay. All right. So I'm just looking here. So it's about 0.2 of an acre, I think is what it is.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And it definitely looks like that they have given the condition a 0.10 rating versus a 1.0, which would mean, full land or, fully available land. So definitely on that, they recognize that it is like a wetlands type of thing. Let's see here. Okay.
What would be the basis for increasing the value of the land?
It would be just land values around the area have increased as well. So
If they were developable,
it does have a note here that it is unbuildable on it. Okay.
I can understand that if you actually could build something there.
Yeah. Okay. And you did not, I'm assuming you didn't talk to, it says here you did not have an informal hearing.
No.
Okay. Okay. So, get it, understand what you're saying. It's unbuildable, it's flooded at high tide, taxes went up, not sure.
Yeah, again, the only thing that happens with that land is I pay taxes and I maintain it. And so I can't do anything else with it. I would be better served to donate it back to the
town or something like that.
Right.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else that I should? Okay.
That's it.
All right, so here's the next step that we have. I will present this to the majority of the board. We'll deliberate about it and come up with a decision. If we deny the appeal, on the decision, you can come back next year and appeal to the BAA. If we do make an adjustment in value, then you're not able to appeal again for another 5 years, basically, till the next revaluation period.
Understood.
Regardless of what we decide, you do have the right to go to court. Okay? When we make our decision, you'll be notified in writing 7 days after that decision or within 7 days after that decision. And in there will be information about how to proceed if you want to go to court and discuss it.
And what is the timing of your decision making?
So we are shooting to have all decisions made in the month of March.
Okay.
We have 650 applications in for appeals.
Okay.
So,
A busy spell.
it is a very, because it's a revaluation.
No, I know.
So.
Do I leave this with you?
You leave that with me?
Okay.
All right.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.
No, my pleasure.
Yep, you too.
Okay.
He's in room 1.
Huh?
Are you looking for Harold?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in room 1.
He's busy. I got a phone, and I just want to I got to make sure I know what I'm doing for the phone. I only did it once, but so it's frustrating.
Here, you want me to help you real quick?
Yeah, please.
All right. Chris? Yeah. All right, have a seat there. I'll get set up. Yeah. Let's see, we got one. All right, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Okay, I do have a question before we start. Do you have letters signed by the owners
Yes.
for you to represent?
Yeah, here, I have all the affidavits for you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
Because I noticed it wasn't in the file.
Yeah. No, I got them. Here's, I put them out. We got it here. I got 3 of them. Oh. Then I got this one statement too.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one we're gonna go through is 580 Harbor Road.
580 Harbor Road.
Okay. So by the way, I'm John Foley. I'm one of the members of the BAA Commission.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'll be hearing the 3 requests that we have here, or appeals that we have here today. So let me just swear you in first,
Sure.
because we'll go through each of them one by one.
Sure.
So raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeals now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Okay, so for the record, the first one that we have up here is appeal number 595. Okay,
So here's the sworn statement,
thank
the
you.
affidavit, and then it's got our appraisal.
Okay.
Which,
Yep.
and I'm not gonna, oh, you know what, here, the only thing I added on to that, which is okay. There we go.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got 595, and the property that we're hearing right now is at 580 Harbor Road. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the owner is Cynthia Luttenbach?
Correct.
Okay. And the town value that it has been appraised at is $4,240,300. And the ask amount is $3,800,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and let's talk about that one right now.
Yeah, so essentially I'm just going to defer. I gave you an appraisal, so I'm just going to defer to the appraiser. The appraisal's attached in there. They lay out the whole argument for it being $3.8 million. It was done in February of 2020.
Okay.
The only thing I added on to that, just to show, is I looked at some comp Harbor Road sales that happened in 2020.
Okay, and that's what you handed
And that's what I handed you, and I just showed, I found there were 2 that I thought were comps. I mean, they're a little bit different square footage wise, but just to show, the only thing I really wanted to show with this was that, 494 sold for $1.7 million. It happened in July of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then the town appraised it for $1.731,300 with the reval. So the only change from the sale price in July was 1.84%.
Okay.
And I did the same thing for 260, which sold in September of 2020. And the town actually reduced the appraisal from what it was bought for by, close to 5%.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show because, our appraisal is not of October 2020, just to show kind of what the town had done with other Harbor Road sales that had happened in 2020, and just showing that, market-wise, that, there wasn't much of a change, at least in our estimation in 2020.
Okay.
For Harbor Road.
And let me just take a little bit here. Okay, so the appraisal report has comparable one of 75 Old South Road.
Mm-hmm.
It has comparable 411 Harbor Road.
Right.
And then comparable 3 as 564 Harbor Road. None of these 3 were sold within the last year and a half?
Well, funny enough, so 411 was sold in April of 2019.
Okay.
It was sold for $3 million.
Okay.
In April 2019, and the town now has it up to $3.54 million, is what they raised the appraisal to. But from what the sale price was, I mean.
Mm-hmm. So they raised it $500,000. million.
Yeah, they were hit at $500,000,
Okay.
for where it was at. And that's the comp, I think the nearest, I'm not sure about the others when the other one's sold.
Okay.
But yeah.
But then you have the two others here of 494
Right.
Harbor Road and 260 Harbor.
Yeah, just to show, those are two, those are smaller homes than this one. So I was more just looking at, what had happened, how the town had seen, from what they were bought for, because they were bought, a few months before the revaluation, and how the town had adjusted since, from the time when it sold. And just to show, the hot, went up 2%, one went down 5%, just to show that I think our appraisal for 3.8 is accurate, even though it's February of 2020.
Okay. All right. Anything else that we should know about this house? Or about this?
No, really, I think I just kind of defer to the appraiser. I think they highlight, their arguments, and so I just really kind of defer to them on it.
Okay. And I did see, wait, I don't have the right part up. Hold on for a second. I thought I saw somewhere on here, just so I'm aware. I did see somewhere. Just so I'm aware, it looks like that in June 8th of 2020, the ownership didn't really change. It was more of a structural change, correct, to a trustee from the owner into a trustee account?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
they set it up into a trustee, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that I think that has really much to do about it, but.
Yeah, I think it was just, I'm trying to see here. Yeah, it was for zero, I see that, it was for $0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just conveying it from them into a trust.
Yep. Okay. All right.
And there's been no work. The other thing I was going to put in, you can see that in the building permit record. The last building permit was completed in 2014.
Yep, I do see that there was an addition in 2014.
Right, so prior to the last revamp.
Okay, and it looks like there was an informal hearing as well?
Yes, we had informal on this one, yep.
Okay, and what was the outcome of that?
It was not reduced.
Okay, there was no change?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I do have something here that says, it looks like there was a informal hearing. Actually, it looks like there was one on the 20th, and then on the 21st it said no change.
So no change, yeah, I see, yep, no change, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was originally, the town value was, 14,400, so yeah, it's about the same. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no change.
Okay. All right, anything else on this one?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
When I have the appraisal, I generally just defer to the appraisal.
So basically, just, refer to the appraisal is what I'm hearing.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, next one we have here is 241 Harbor Road.
241 Harbor, Lynch's, okay, let me get this here. This one I don't have an appraisal. So I'm giving you the affidavit, I'm giving you this
Thank you.
I make this little cheat sheet, and then the field card's just for convenience.
Okay.
Of the comp. But, yeah, so I made this cheat sheet, and essentially what I did was I picked out comps for 241 Harbor Road, and I'm actually using the town's figures, so the town's appraisals for everything, and just laying out you know, the improvements of land and then what the stats are, you know, living area and land, to basically come to this number of, you know, dollar per square foot of living area to look at, you know, how it compares to other ones, and then also dollar per square foot of land to see how those compare. A couple of these, one is that 411 Harbor Road that we talked about in April of 2019.
Yep.
And one actually sold after the reval date. It sold December of 2020. But again, I'm just looking at the town's numbers. I'm not really, I'm putting in those in there for reference. And so essentially what I do is I take a look and I take those averages and I apply them to our properties to get revised numbers for both the improvements, just looking at, you know, these kind of comp properties, you know, particularly for the living area. I thought on that one, I actually, you know what, I didn't update that. I apologize. For the living area, I thought the straight better comp was 385 Harbor Road, because the other two are much smaller than ours.
Yeah.
So I looked at that one. That's 7,215, and it's a nicer grade home. So I essentially used the dollar per square foot of living area of 385 Harbor Road. It's also on our side of the, you know, on our side of the road. So that was at 291, and I timed it by our living area, and I got the revised appraisal down to you know, it came down to 1.469. But then I took the land, I took the average of the land, as well, the dollar per square foot of land, and that's just taking the land appraisal amount and dividing it by the square footage of land to kind of get a, you know, dollar per square foot of land. And that's where I get the 6907. That is an average of those three. And I timed it by our square footage land-wise and got a revised appraisal of land for that. So it brings my total appraisal to 3,275 if you add those two figures together. And I had put in the application that it was that we were saying it's 3,400,000, which I would say it's in that range. I would say it's in the 3,275 to 3,400,000. And the thing I'll just note about this as well, I just gave you, you know, we just did 580 Harbor Road, and I had an appraisal for that at 3.8. And this is a smaller home, than 580. So I think that 3.4 number is kind of in line with that appraisal as well.
Okay. And just for the record, we're talking about appeal number 601 at 241 Harbor Road.
Correct.
Owners are John and Ellen Lynch.
Correct.
And the town appraised it at $4,218,200, and the ask amount here is 3.4. 3.4, which you said was in the range, even though your calculated revised appraisal is 3.27.
Right, and I think and you know, the way I did it out, it came to 3.275, but I still think that 3.4 number is probably the more accurate. Is the more accurate number. You know, for some upward adjustment based on, you know, maybe quality or quality of the land or something like that. I think the 3.4 number is probably, you know, more accurate.
Okay. And it looks like, oh, never mind. That's what I was going to say. There was so it looks like there was an appeal in Superior Court in 2018. Is that correct?
Yes, and that appeal is still ongoing, yeah.
Okay, and what was that for?
That was against the 2015 revaluation.
Okay.
Yeah, they were appealing that one as well.
So the appeal is still open?
Yeah, and then, and unfortunately, because of COVID last year, it kicked the hearing for, I think we're going back in April on that one.
Okay.
So yeah, we weren't able to do the hearings.
And you said that was for the 2015?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here about that appeal, correct?
No, yeah, because it's based on a totally separate, obviously, revaluation date, so yeah, I didn't
Okay.
do anything for that. And, same thing with this one, as far as, the last work that was completed, you can see in the building permit record, it was, in 2012, so prior to the last reval.
That was the new dock, right?
That was the new dock. So since then, there hasn't been any, there hasn't been any change.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we should know about with this one, this property?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Let me just verify.
The worksheet just, I know you guys have to then go and present this to the full board.
Yes, exactly.
I tried to do the cheat sheet to see if it, helps,
Thank you.
when you have 600.
Which we do, you know the scenario that we're in.
No.
Okay. All right, if we're done with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next one that I will hear is appeal number 434.
Okay, 1011 Pequot Ave.
Yep, the property that's being appealed is 1011 Pequot. Thank you.
You got the affidavit, and then the other thing, and frankly, this might be better than an appraisal and a sale date, is the contract for purchase, which was signed in October of 2020. So it was signed.
Yep, October 19th.
Yep. So it's a arm's length transaction.
Yep.
It's actually almost probably a better indicator of value than a sale date because, right, I mean, you could have a sale date in October of 2020, but you signed the contract, you could sign it a year before, you could sign it 6 months before, maybe when the market was different, but this is, October 2020, an actual arm's length transaction negotiation signed contract.
So we're talking about the property here on 1011, and this is just for the record.
Yeah,
1011 Pequot Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
The owner is Gunston Holdings, LLC. The town valued at $2,765,600. The ask amount is $2,650,000, and that actually equals what the sale amount was that closed on October 19th of 2020.
Well, so they entered contract in October 2020. It sold January of 2021. I included the deed just so you saw because I was looking at the field card, and the field card actually hadn't updated who the owner was. And neither did I looked on Vision, and it wasn't on there either. So I gave you the deed just so you could see, the closing did happen. It happened January 2021, but again, we're submitting a duly negotiated arm's length contract.
Was there a appraisal for this one, or no?
No, not that. There might have been one for the bank loan, but bank appraisals are kind of, usually they're just for the gearing for the loan. I really kind of thought there was nothing better than the actual contract.
Okay.
When it's October 2020. I didn't handle I actually wasn't the attorney who handled that, so I don't know. I think he probably had an appraisal for the loan, but sometimes those are.
It looked like there was an informal on this one.
Yes, there was. Yep, and
it looks like there was a reduction.
There was a reduction. Yep, and then
looks like about 40,000 or so, 45,000.
Yep.
Based on both the land and the building, correct?
Yeah. And I had shown them at that informal I had shown them, the contract, so I'm guessing that's what spurred it. But we just think, and we think that, that really kind of nothing speaks better than the contract in October. So,
Okay.
and this hasn't, building permit wise, this hasn't had any work since, under the building permit record since 2005 was the last one.
Looks like, yeah, 2005. There's something on 814 that looks like generator is for, what is the F? Is for the loft. Looks like a garage loft. They have on 14. But again, that was noted before the 15 appraisal.
Right.
The 2015.
Oh, I see in the notes.
You're looking at the notes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there was a BAA reduction in 2017, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For, yeah, also the 2017.
Six, okay. And, do you know anything about the property? Because it looks like there's a little bit of a reduction for the property. Is any of it wetlands or anything like that? Because the condition is 0.95, that would indicate something.
Yeah, maybe there is. I'm not sure what that reduction would be. I mean, it's in a coastal zone, I know, because it's on Pequot, but I don't know. I usually don't see that for the other ones that are coastal. Size adjustment.
Yeah, because under condition
Right.
of landline valuation.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know. I'm not sure what that's for.
All right. So for this
Maybe the contract. If you give me 1 second.
yeah.
So the deed. Oh, you know what? I don't think I gave you a copy of the deed. I'm going to give it to you. But there's a right of way for an easement.
That might be it then.
Rights of others in Gunston Road because it's a private road. So I wonder if it's for that. Yeah, it looks like there are these last two things in your own list too.
Okay.
So yeah, this shows, just so you see it on the back page, it shows that it was 8th day of January 2020.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Right, thank you.
But those subject twos down at the bottom, maybe it's one for one of those subject twos.
Okay. Okay. But then I guess the main point for this appeal, backing this appeal, is the transaction of the sale.
Right. Right. Yeah, that was entered into contract at for that amount. Yep.
Okay.
That's the gist.
All right. Anything else?
That is it.
All right. Thank you very much. I just need to, for the record, read you or tell you what comes next, even though it sounds like you already know the routine.
I filed 71, not just in Fairfield, but 71 property taxes.
Okay.
But I know you have to say.
Yeah. So I will take this to the board members, the majority, and we'll deliberate about it, come to a decision. The decision will be mailed within 7 days after it's been reached. If the appeal has been denied for any of these three properties, you on behalf of the residents or the owners themselves can come back within a year or for the following year to reappeal. If we do make any adjustments on, any of the properties, then it will be 5 years till they can reappeal again.
Right, the BAA.
All right, to the BAA, which is the next revaluation period.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if your clients do not feel that, disagree with what the outcome is for their property, they do have the right to go to court.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like one of them already did, once for the 2015 appeal, but they have the right to go to court, and that information will be in with the decision letter of how to appeal.
Okay, great.
All right?
Fantastic. Cool, thank you very much, good
Thank
luck
you.
with the rest of the appeals, I know it's a marathon.
Yes, it is.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate the time, have a
Yep.
good one. You're on.
I'm going to send your 11:15 up in a minute, if that's okay.
I'll come grab them.
You'll go, okay, you just went to the restroom, but you'll be out in a second.
Okay, I'll be down in a minute.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you. All right, have a seat. Okay. All right, so I am John Spoliar. I am a member of one of 9 members of the BAA. Okay, Appeals Assessment, or Assessment Appeals. I'll be the one hearing your case today.
Okay.
All right. I just need to verify for the record a few details. We are talking about appeal number 194, I believe.
Yes, I believe so. Glasses. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
194.
Yes. Okay. The property that is being appealed is 1334 Pequot Avenue. Okay. And I apologize in advance. I'm going to probably mess up the name. But the owner of the property is Mehmet.
Mehmet, yes.
Mehmet.
You can
And
vote, please.
Yadigar
Yes, that's correct. Perfect.
Banal.
That's correct.
Okay. The town value is $2,620,700.
Yep.
And the ask amount is $1,950,000.
That's good.
Okay, great. And you are the owner?
Yes, I'm 50% of the owner.
Okay, you're 50% of the owner. All right, great. I just need to swear you in.
Sure.
If you can raise your right hand.
Yeah.
Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so.
Okay, I brought you this folder with some additional information,
Okay.
which contains, shall I approach you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Basically, this is the original
Yeah.
appeal. And this is the new letter I constructed.
Okay.
To explain why I'm adding new
Okay.
material.
And you have a copy of it with you?
Yeah, I have exact copy. This is all yours.
Okay, great.
And this is the letter, and attachments are listed at the end of the letter.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
And I also put the copies of all the
Okay, great.
information about the properties that I compared with.
Okay,
And here you go.
thank you.
And I don't want to take too much of your time. Very quickly, in my first appeal that I sent you
Uh-huh.
on the 16th of February, as attachment 1, I added this document.
That's the grid of, it looks like a table here that you have of sales search.
That's correct. I did a sales search from Vision.
Okay.
For the properties that were in the range, the sales price range of $1.5 to $3 million. These are actual sales, apparently.
Yep.
And it turns out, in that particular comparison, that and the area, land area, acreage,
Mm-hmm.
and also where the building is situated, the amount of
Living
space,
area.
living area.
Yep.
I did my best to compare these things to the extent that I could figure out from the brief information I have.
Yep.
In our neighborhood, which is 550
Mm-hmm.
and 55 and 70, and one of them is 96, I believe. It turns out, on the average, sale price is $1,993,438. This is an average of 13 properties.
Yep.
And
I compared the living area spaces. The average turns out to be 5613.
Okay.
And compare the land area, which turns out to be 56,876. Our properties appraised value is, turns out to be quite high, about 31.5%, based on the average of those numbers. And comparing with the land, we have only 17,424. We have shared driveway. We have a modern contemporary style housing, not a colonial, which is a disadvantage in this area. And we are also very close, we are on the Pequot Avenue, which is very noisy. At the back, we are very close to the railroad and the highway, I-95. And we keep getting noise all the time, and it's getting worse actually, for some reason, I don't know. And it turns out the fair market value, I've tried to figure out from the averages of this thing, and I end up with a number that's 1950, looking at all these factors. Now, further on, after submitting this information to you, I did a more focused research, which is the second letter that I submitted, and the attachment 2, actually. There's a spreadsheet in there. And there were 4 houses that have been sold in the same area.
So this is attachment number 2 we're looking at?
Yeah, attachment 2 on the second letter that I submitted. And it turns out that it's actually a little worse than I figured out in the first place. What I did in this table, based on the information I obtained from the internet and from the assessor's pages from various past history, apparently what they do, they factor some advantages and disadvantages, plus or minus figure, to the sale price. Trying to end up with a price as if our house in their location and sold at that price with the same exact features. Of course, there's no way to find out the same exact features. So what happens if they have an unfinished basement? I don't have a fit basement, so there's a negative for me, so I add it as a negative number, so it drops from that price. The biggest feature turns out to be, for us, is because we have ocean view. We're in the waterfront. And I added 20% advantage for the sale price of each of these houses. And for the others, I tried to find out how much should be deducted. And some of these are real figures. For example, if there's an unfinished basement that costed that property for $20,000, up to $20,000. And I extracted that information from their own data sheet that is listed in the Vision Government Systems record. So this information, even if it's not exactly the same number, it's within $100. I just wanted to round it up. I didn't want to go to pennies and cents.
And what you're talking about is the last row here on, or the last section, I should say, in the grid on attachment number 2.
Yes, that's 1,909,000 is the average
proposed sales price.
Yeah, sales price. So, furthermore, I tried to, because I'm an engineer, I dig in further, being curious, and I said, why is it like that? Because our house is nothing special, really. Some of these houses are much more elegant, more colonial, more presentable. And I figured that out. There's one major difference, which is the land assessment.
The land assessment?
Yeah. And I found out in this, all these vision cards, there is a section right at the bottom of the first page called Land Buying Valuation section.
And this is what you put together in attachment number 3?
That is correct. And in every one of the comparison, it turns out all these numbers are multiplied with each other. And unit price of the land, ours is the highest already. It's not, just because we are by the water, turns out, I think that may be the reason why our land price, unit price is $15. And the others go down 10, one of them is 12, 1247, 662, 1080. So ours is the highest anyway. So there is some advantage assigned to it already. And if you look at it, it's actually more than 50%, turns out to be. And all the other things, numbers, are almost identical. In fact, our condition is a little worse than the others. They're all 111, ours is 85.
And I believe that is because of the location, the size, and the shared driveway, it looks like in the notes there that you have.
Probably.
Is probably why they give you that 15% discount.
That's what I figured. And in fact, these are the percentages I used in aligning our costs with the other houses. Anyway, when I multiply those numbers, which turns out it is how it's calculated for all the others, ours turn out to be 751,888.46. But the number written in there in our land card is 2,143,000. And I couldn't believe why is it 285% more. And this is a major question for me. And I need that to be understood.
Okay.
And there is another attachment 4 I added, which is the map of our property. As you see, there's a big rectangular space between the ravine at the back and the Pequot Avenue. And almost all this land, obviously before us, somebody split this land probably, and a little piece in the front is our property, 1334. At the back, that's our neighbor's property. And as you see, there's a line, a piece of land that belongs to the person at the back. We use it as a driveway, and he uses it as a driveway. And the part of it is a garden, extension of his garden. And when we figure out the square footage of each of these lands, the one at the back is $24.10, and ours is $123 per square foot. And this is like, it's a huge difference. And that puzzled me a lot. So essentially, these are the major points that I'm trying to make. And that's why I'm pleading to Fairfield to be fair about this and adjust our valuation properly.
Okay.
This is almost more than 5 times difference.
So you're more appealing the property value, the land value versus the house value. Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you, figuring out why this is so, my analytical mind directs me in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming this makes logic. That's all. That's why I'm teasing.
I can follow what you're doing here.
Okay.
All right. I have an analytical mind
I know
myself.
That's why I was hopeful.
I can see that. I can understand it. I guess I can follow. It's really okay. So
essentially, these are the facts that I want to present to you.
Okay.
I want to take beyond that.
Okay. So you're using the comparables now in attachment number 2 of 72 Willow Street, 60 Chester Place, 260 Willow Street, and 683 Pequot Avenue.
These are actual sales.
Yep, those are actual sales, recent sales, I believe, right?
Very recent. Since June last year.
Since June of last year, yeah. It looks like there's a December of 2020, September of 2020, another September of 2020, and June of 2020.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And we've got the land sales here. Okay. Anything else?
In a nutshell, this is what it is. I think I was hoping that there's enough evidence there. We are paying a little more than what we need to be.
Okay.
And I don't know whether if I have to sign this.
Yes, you do need to sign it, just saying that I swore you in.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a tendency to. All right. All this information here. Okay. Just to let you know what the next steps are.
Yes.
Is that I will present what you provided to the rest of the board, or to the majority of the board. From there, we will deliberate and come to a decision.
Okay.
Within 7 days, after the decision is made, you'll receive our decision in the mail.
Okay.
Okay. If we deny the appeal, you can come back next year and appeal again.
Okay.
To the BAA. If we do make an adjustment, you won't be able to appeal to the BAA for another 5 years, which will be the next revaluation period. Okay. Regardless of the outcome, you have a right to go to court and appeal there.
Okay.
And information will be about doing that process, or the next steps in appealing to a court of law will be in your notice, decision notice.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
This is complete, right?
Yep.
Just
And I
make
will-
sure the dates, and
Yep.
I guess need your signature.
Yep. I just need to sign it. All right. Thank you very much.
Say,
You too.
say.
You too. You can leave it open. That's fine. Thank you. This is John Spoliar. It is 11:28 p.m. on March 5th, and I am closing the session for the morning appeals in room 2. Thank you.